Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. I'm on a no 3 street here, but I don't know if it really isn't. Could just be it could just say that. We'll find out. But I'm supposed to heal down here for some reason. So they caused an issue, and God said, "Turn here, park here." Okay, now fix this. Now go heal down there. Actually, it just loops around, I think. So we're getting hit that humidity factor. Hopefully it. That's funny. I'm on Hadley again. That's that woman that the deputy marshal had locked up. Was part of a scam. They're all doing that. Believe you me. The ones that do it. Right. Remember, the officers for the police department, the detectives, and all the correctional people, they were all covered for the deputy. Oh, like it's supposed to be. We're supposed to commit felony crimes and be covered for. That comes from all the deep state stuff that they let them do. So here's another one for you to understand. So my internet downgraded to 4G while they were doing it, but it wasn't just that because the signal was totally gone. If they want me to go in another direction, they'll think, well, you probably want to go in the other direction. The signal's no good this way. And what they're doing is by manipulating the way you travel. There's people that you have interaction with in a day that live in all these communities. So like the lady I had interaction today, I have no idea where she lives. There's no way for me to know where she lives. But if they could do something to get me to drive near her house, they would do it. And then say, well, he obviously was stalking that woman. And that's the kind of thing that they're into. It's ludicrous. If you read the reports, there's no way I could know any of the information they're speaking about because later there's like the punchline to try to fear me. So they put it at me. I'm like, yeah, bullshit. There's no way that I could know any of that information. 100%. But again, if you don't take it to court, the kangaroos in the extrajudicial court system that's as illegal as the day is long. And as criminals the day is long, it will say whatever it wants. So they spend like 20, 30 years doing that to somebody, and then they get them to commit a crime, and they put them away for the rest of their life. And go, see, I told you they were a criminal. I mean, they're disgusting. They're filth. Thank you, Larry. Kind of used a lot of gas getting all that done today. Oh, it was hot today, wasn't it? There was somebody on their bike. I won't be using any backpacks. I haven't used backpacks that much anyway. I have saddlebags that I was using because I didn't want stuff on my back. So like I was saying, it was interesting today. And, they try to probably list her as my victim or something. I mean, I probably have like 1,000 people that victimized me on a victim list. That's the scam they run. Or one of the scams. As soon as somebody victimizes me and I bring it up, then they say that person's my victim. Well, that's psychosexual. It's narcissism. It's disgusting. And you may like actually drive a certain direction, like every day of your life, and then they'll take one of their cronies, one of their bait people, and put them in, say, an apartment or a house on that route, and then have them have an interaction with you. And then, of course, you just drive the way you usually drive. So when they write it into a report, they won't say you drove that way for 30 years or 5 years or 2 years, right? I'll just say, oh, you seem to know where that person lived. So on and so forth. So that was weird that my neighbor still lived in that room, because what he does is he travels for work. So, but this isn't like where he lives. Where he lives is in Missouri somewhere. Oh, the people said they were from Hope Village. So I guess something's going on at Hope Village where they live, and it needs to be refurbished or something, or maybe it's a new section. I don't know. I have to study it. I didn't get online. But they said in about a month and a half, Hope Village will be hopefully available for them to move back into. Because I asked them, I thought they were off the street completely, and maybe some are, but thank you, Larry. I said, are they going to have better housing for you when when you move from here? And they go, well, we're going back to Hope Village. So I've heard of it. I know I've heard of it. I just need to brush up on what it is. But they're nice people. I mean, they get a little freaked out, paranoid, because I don't probably when I leave, the cops come and operate them, and they think I'm part of it. Thank you. But after a while, they kind of bounce back. Thank you. That's psychological warfare. I don't care what you all say. No, it's not some high-tech disruption technology or intelligence-driven preventative measure. I don't even know if it could be. I mean, it's just that so far out what they're doing these days that, I don't even know if it could ever be anything legitimate. So I got that bicycle in hopes that that movement might actually limber up my legs a little bit more. It's actually an excellent deal. I mean, it's not the most advanced bicycle, but it's probably perfect for what I want to use it for. Right. And all it would take probably is to change the derailleur out. It's only a a single sprocket like they have. So it's a wide ratio, but it's not that many. It's not like 12. It's only like 9 or something. And it's just the hill climbing capability is limited, but there's not that many hills around here like some of the other places I lived. Right. If I change the fork out, I'd probably save at least a pound. It's a coil fork. Oh. But it looks, it's 120 millimeters. It's 27.5 tires. I'm not like a big 29-inch fan. I'm actually a 26-inch fan. But the key is it's 2.35 tires. There's some nice, chunky tires. I'm not a big tubeless fan either. Keep it stupid simple. I mean, at my weight, a couple pounds doesn't matter. I know it's different sprung, that kind of weight, but it doesn't matter. Because what I find is because I use it and I go shopping and all that, I end up putting weight on it anyway. Right. I need massages actually before I get on it, but I don't. If I had a woman, she could give me the massages. If I had a wife and all of that, right? So their plan is complete and evil and criminally intentioned, and they effectuated it, and it is what it is. But they're going to hell, I'll tell you that. They'll tell you that they're in a church and they're going to heaven because they're ruling. They think they're rulers. They're devils. So all that money that Trump sold everybody out for, he ended up spending it on legal defense anyway. If he'd actually towed the line and did what I said, he'd have been fine. He'd have had a second term. We may not even have had COVID because that's how the Earth works metaphysically. So again, it's just I talking to my brother. I said, this Threads thing, it's just like a bulletin board you run on your Commodore computer. I said, yeah, it's got newer technology, but that's basically what it is. My point is this. Of course, I could use Instagram with it, but I tried turning on the studio on Instagram. I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't figure anything out. I'm like, forget it. If I got to think too hard about it, forget it. All it is a political movement, and okay, they don't like Elon Musk. He is abrasive at times. Want to smack? I mean, I'm sure is he. What is she? What is she now? She's a CEO, right? He's the chairman, right? Sure, she wants to smack the chairman upside the head. She's sitting there going, weenie measurements. Where did this come from? How am I going to package that? Repackage it to work? I think he come from what's it called, Ozempic? Ever since he started taking that, he went nutty, didn't he? And that's true. Look back. Ever since he started taking Ozempic, he started getting really out there. I think it's the Ozempic. I think that's what he took, or maybe he took something else. Took some sort of. If I was him, I'd take steroids and growth hormone, and you'd get bigger than Bezos. That's what Bezos used. I couldn't get to it in my life. They kept blocking me. When I went to my mother's, I could have used it because I didn't have much rent or anything. But they blocked me. I didn't know they were I knew they were there. It's hard to penetrate their operation, but they were online blocking me from everything I Googled. 100%. Except for something like cam girls. Like, yeah, go do that. They will that up and will in that direction. And it wasn't bad. I could have been married. I just got in the middle. Again, the girl from Colombia is not who I wanted to date, but she was, telling me she wanted to, because she was young. I didn't want a girl that young. The porn star in Ohio probably would have been the perfect wife. Again, she wouldn't have done it once we got married. Probably both went to church, had a normal life again. It's just the way the world works. Because once you have that union, that power combines, and then you can break the curses. Right? She can't live another life and have it go normal. Right? And God knows that. That's why people like that are forgiven. That's why God put me in her direction. She was like, she was from Ohio, and she was a really nice Ohio type of girl, And it turned out she was a porn star. I'm like, darn, she's a porn star. And God's like, just keep going. And they got in the middle. She was amused by my romanticism. All the other guys were like, hey, baby. She's a good person. I'll tell you, of all the people I spoke to on there, she's probably one of the better people, and that just shows you, Right. She was wanted to make it in the big time, but she was like a small time porn star or something. I don't even know if she did any movies. I guess she had to have, right? I didn't see them. Like, I wasn't looking for porn. Just looking for, maybe we could be something more. I mean, what do you expect me to do? They blocked everything else. It would have worked if they weren't allowed to be in the middle of it. Somebody would have eventually said, take a chance on this guy. Now, I spoke on this before. One of the issues is if they're camming, it could be that they have, STDs. And, that's the only thing they can't really be an escort or anything like that. Right? No, I'm not into the sexual, what do they call those? I guess it would be almost I wouldn't say it's not really considered sex drive, but I'm not into that adult entertainment stuff. It's just that it's an interesting world, and it's a world that maybe I could have elevated somebody out of while they elevate me out of my issues in life and where I'm stuck in life. Right. But she was a really nice person. She really was. It's just she's so busy because she's so popular, and I just didn't have the energy to push it because of them. If they weren't there, I probably would have ended up in Ohio. Yeah, he's a very pleasant person. Now, the young woman that was in Colombia, I felt so bad for their situation, but I eventually got whacked around it because it just they interfered, and even with her, I'm sure they were talking to her like a doctor from Bonita Springs, Florida, making her think she hit the big time, right? Get her to portray Larry, tell her you're a doctor. But she had a mother here in the United States. I was trying to strategize a plan that would work for everybody at a certain point. Right. But she was real. I knew she was real when she was putting a camera on herself, going, "Well, you still want to travel here?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "I don't have my makeup on." I'm like, "Oh, well, you look great. You don't look much different." Thank you much. No, that was like the two that really clicked. Spoke to a lot of Romanian women. Right. Yeah, I'm actually very comfortable around Romanian women. It's just I can't get anywhere in life. Right. And then the other one, when again, back then I didn't have all the information I have now, right? And they still can manipulate me, but not as well. So there was this woman from Russia, and it was during the fires, and I actually healed the fires, and they started beating the fires and all this. Because online it's saying that all you got to do is heal the fires, and I healed them, and I'm sure somebody else probably did too, and they beat the fires. But she was a good woman. She had just got divorced, and the problem was that husband doesn't want to work, and he wants to guys party all the time, and right, and she just said, I can't be with him anymore. And she was a very good looking person, and she was very pleasurable. But it was like we had a little bit of a communication issue on that one. I think I misread her. I think she really was interested. Like a lot of people think when women are into, let's say, they have to do the cam thing, that they're not like innocent people. She was very innocent. I think she was. I didn't pick up on that. And again, I wasn't like, hey, baby, or anything like that. But yeah, I was just like, wow, and that's pretty much where I was with her. And I'm sure we would have been fine together if we actually met somewhere and had a life together. She's a good person. I'm convinced of it. But I think she was a little more like taken aback that somebody could really be interested in her. So again, she was probably treated very poorly in life. Right. But I think she was semi new to it, and she was just, I'd say hi to her a few times, but then it just, again, it burned me out because they were down on me, and I ended up somewhere else. I guess I can't even remember, and I didn't stay on there forever. I would just, get away from it pretty quick if things didn't seem like they were going to work out. Right. And then I did some investigation on there to try to figure out where these people were. Like I've caught this one woman that said she was in Poland, and then like she flashed some U.S. cash. I'm like, aha, you're in New York City, aren't you? Like if I heard voices off screen, then I'd really like. A lot of times I'd try to just watch, or if they're like really young, I try to stay on there to see if I can figure something out. Right. I don't think they were underage, but they were just, they like barely of age. Right. That did trouble me about the woman I was going to go meet. That was the only question I had. There was a male voice that came up, like a knock on the door in a male voice, and I'm not sure what they were saying, and I'm very leery of that because then you get killed, right? She herself was honest. I know that much. Right. Thank you, Lynch. But something happened, and I believe somebody worked her, spycraft. Right. And like a year later, that's when the Secret Service had their issue. Columbia. See, you can't win all of you. 100%. And then, of course, when they try to do me in the massage parlor, next thing you know, there's Homeland Security agents orgasming in massage parlors across the United States. That was pretty much it. Then there was this woman when I was at the Sikhs, and I was trying to figure out. Well, she said she was in France, I think, or some. No, wait, I can't remember where she said she was. But I was trying to figure her life out because I think she was in a bondage scenario, so I was trying to figure that out. Right? Unless they were operating her and it was them freaking her out. Right? Hmm. Again, we got to realize CIA was operating from one end to the other. 100%. I'll be glad when they get this Walmart done. They moved the bread around like 3 times. I'm like, where's the bread? You go in like 3 days later, and the bread's no longer. The aisle doesn't even exist. You're like, hey, the aisle's not even here. Because I'm like, oh, this is interesting. They put the bread over here. They created a new aisle, and then I go in like 3 days later. I'm like, the aisle's not here. Where's the bread? And it's like someplace it's never been in any Walmart in history. Like this is Walmart syntax. You do not put bread in this aisle. It never is in this aisle. But they're reconstructing the whole place. So it was a good idea. They did the still have people to monitor it. And a woman, I don't know if she's a nighttime supervisor or what, but the daytime woman that runs looks like she's customer service, she, and I guess maybe a manager or something, she was looking for my phone because she asked her, did you find a phone? She said, yeah. And then she went to go in the back. She goes, no, it's over there by the cash register. So she really, they were just kind of had it together and got me my phone real quick this morning. I wake up and I looked on Find Your Phone on Google and I was like, it's in Walmart. I do remember taking it out to check a price. So I knew it was outside of my bag and I probably just like left it on top of the bag or under the bag and started walking, and it just dropped out or something. All right. Although I did get a blip 2 days ago because I had trouble encrypting my SD card, and there's really not much on there that they could use. I mean, there's some information, but I have to encrypt that, make sure I keep that encrypted. It's going to take a long time. There's a lot of data on my SD card. I mean, not a lot, but maybe it's like I have to look, probably like 80 gigabytes or something. When your card's new, it's easy to encrypt. Right. I was going to try something fun. The only thing with that one, if the device dies, then you can't unencrypt it. So that's kind of scary, right? So I guess what I really want to do is get into some app, right? That I can unencrypt it from another device, right? So, I'm like around a lot of low budget people that, have had rough life and things like that. It's like when they try to give me advice on looking for an apartment, I'm like, oh, it doesn't work for me, I don't live in that place because they'll try to kill me. Right. He actually had trouble in a couple places. He got stabbed in his head. he said when they stabbed him, it was some woman, I think, some like, like, I guess almost a trans man type, and she stabbed him in his head, and he said his jaw opened, and so he's dealing with trauma. Right. But I try to help him out when I can. It's so sad that so many people smoke cigarettes. That's the one I can't seem to heal well enough. So he smokes cigarettes. I'm like, yeah, wish he wouldn't. But he reads the Bible and everything. He's trying to be who he thinks he's supposed to be. But I try to steer people away from judging sin, because again, that's where it always takes people today because of the fake church. I mean, you're to be cognizant of your own sin and do the best you can, but God never promised you a rose garden. I mean, the Bible itself says sin is going to happen, but the church changed it to say the person that's sinning, woe unto that person. No, it's the person that traps them into sin. That's what it really says. So although the Bible tells you that all this information about Jesus and the power to destroy sin, of course the biggest final is what? That when you die, it's not held against you. Right. But it says all that, but then it says, but if you do, the other part is, if you do sin, somebody's responsible. Because Jesus does have that power. But again, this is not the Father's kingdom, so then it's not Jesus' kingdom either. Again, they only teach the half of the Bible that works for them. Get your money and get your trust, so you become a devil with them. That's pretty much it. You think law enforcement went south? You should see the churches. Same takeover. Hostile takeover. Thank you, Larry. So again, when you really understand the scriptures as God intended them to be understood, then you step back and go, oh, and then it's like you should be awestruck at the benevolence and intelligence of God, and the jurisprudence, the justice of God. Because it has really nothing to do with your physical actions, like the Bible says, right? So, you've got people that tell you I know I've met people that, were just horrible people, but they're just possessed. They have no intention. God said, Charles, it's a good time to bring it up again, that Charles Manson's, one of the women that were with him, it was just released. I think she should have been released sooner. However, when you look at Charles Manson, God said Charles Manson was always possessed his entire life from something that happened in his childhood, where his mother had men, having sex with her, and they cursed him because, nobody wants the kid around, right? Right. So his mom was running around with all these other guys, and they just hated on him. So the reality is, the first person you meet in heaven could be Charles Manson. And that's just how God works. That's how the reality of all of it. 100%. God does not condemn you for being possessed, but does condemn the thing that possesses you. And if it involves humans, then they'll be sent to hell for the possession of your life. So, theoretically, based upon what God says, Adolf Hitler and Charles Manson are in heaven. I know that's hard for you all to fathom, but they were both possessed in their life off of something that happened in their childhood. Because Adolf Hitler actually manifested what Europe's goals for the Jews were. I mean, they all hated Jews. That's why they accepted him at first. But when he took over their country, then they got worried. Right. No, it's just possession of all that hate hurled at Jews. He was a down kid. He was possessed. People were possessing him, and then it all took. God, one of the gods, the investigation thing when you're looking at things spiritually, who made the most money off of World War II? That's who's responsible in reality. That includes the Swiss. 100%. Adolf Hitler, he didn't do well. What, he lived 10 years of fame and then he's dead and everybody hates him? I mean, that's not a winner life. So again, but who won? Who actually became successful? I mean, even Soros was successful from World War II. So I don't know what his gig is. 100%. You know, I don't look at him as being any different than a Republican, but theoretically he could have been somebody that had the will to cause that to exist. To possess Adolf Hitler into that. It's the way you read it. Again, it could be just some illusion, but 100%. So when something happens, you always know there's these peripheral people making money. Well, why did COVID happen? Look at all the people make money off of COVID. That was one of the wills that caused it to exist. You know, that lust of money causes the issues to occur. Again, there's scripture for it, but I can't. It's blocked in my mind. But I guess it means the same thing I said. Right? Sorrows occur because of the love of money. If you will money hard enough, you can cause hard times if you make money off of. Then again, a lot of people are in the rental world. Biden needs to handle that rental property stuff. Number one, they're running around, running amok, deciding who gets to live where. That's one. I don't care if cops are involved; it's still them. 100%. Two, the prices are insane. I mean, housing is dropping everywhere, but rental property is still rising. It's worse than price gouging. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.